Greeting and welcome back to Faustian Bargain, the Warhammer 40,000 Wrath and Glory, run by me, William. I am your game master. And joining me today, we have Cody.
Hi, I'm Cody. I'm playing Seraphim's sister Mira.
And Andrew.
Hello, I'm Andrew, and I'll be playing Lysandre Corax, the battlesuit pilot.
And Craig.
Hi, I'll be playing Gabruk Tieftosser of the Bad Moons.
And Holly.
I'm Holly. I will be playing Gita Wolfblood, Space Marine, Space Wolf.
We are not being joined today by John, who is not feeling up to it after recent events, and so will be joining us at a later date. We are also not going to be joined today by Mara, who will not be joining us for a while now, for the foreseeable future. Might return one day, but not in the immediate sense. As carbonation in my drink tries to stop me from speaking. Anyway. But when last we left off, the group of inquisitorial agents, after receiving the aid of an individual, a scout left over from a company of the Lamenter's Space Marine, after receiving the aid of this individual in finding and traveling down into the depth beneath the Hive City on the planet of Noctus. This world name. On the planet of Noctus, the group descended into the earth beneath the city and found themselves in a dark, ancient tomb structure of an alien species. Discovering, after a trip inside, that it was, in fact, a Necron tomb. And having a very close quarters encounter with a Necron creation who spoke with the group and informed them of another enemy who had been down into the tomb prior and had spoken of others who might be of interest to the party. Upon the group's affirmation that they indeed stood against the primordial annihilator, whatever that means, for those of you who aren't aware, the group was allowed to leave and made quick speed to get out of the Necron tomb so that they did not have to die. And with that, we return. Party emerges back into the lower levels of the Underhive, above the Necron tomb. What are you doing now?
Well, having beat a far hastier retreat than normal, Shokai sits down hard. Well, I can safely say that was not something I have the desire to repeat.
I would agree.
Yes.
I'm not used to.
We should get back with the information now.
Yes. The sooner we can get topside and relay this information to Inquisitor Faust, the better. I will also note
Agreed.
that I am not used to all this running around. It's been a while.
We don't have anything that could communicate from here at that distance, right?
Your only astropath is currently in the Hive City.
Okay.
Yeah, up in the safe house.
Well, then, Let's get back before we're presumed dead.
Can we reach the rest of the group on our comms?
No, but almost certainly not. You're under several kilometers of Hive City at this point, so.
Yeah, that would do it.
One big Faraday net. Or Faraday cage.
Yes.
I know words. I guess I'll lead the way. Or did Gita?
I can lead the way.
Take the rear then.
All right. So the group of you make your way back. Do you wish to stop anywhere on your way, or are you just heading straight back to the safe house?
Jason is still with us, right?
Yes.
Along the way, I would like to, what's the words? Look in his direction and ask, what will you do now, Scout Marine? Will you make your way back to your people?
I don't know if I even can. All that I have been thinking of is how to protect the people around me since I've been separated from the rest of the chapter. I don't know if any of them even still exist.
No, I meant the people down here. I'm sorry.
Oh. For the moment, that's the only thing I have to do.
Well, if you ever change your mind, she pauses and fidgets for a moment with the with her hands. Sorry, I am not entirely certain of the best method to contact us if you were to make your way up to the higher levels.
I just got like this image of an embarrassed Tao trying to flirt with someone.
That's not her intention at all.
No, I know it isn't, but you said fidgets with her hands and looks embarrassed, like looked confused for a second and fidgets with her hand. I was like, I'm just, and I already have the connotation of the Tao as being like very sort of anime-ish in my head.
Alright, well, that just happened to me.
Sorry. That was entirely my brain putting that filter on. I know it wasn't at all what you meant for the character. But...
Your brain needs a hotfix.
If there's any comm frequency that might be helpful, then that you feel like sharing, I can memorize it, but at any point in time, there will be several kilometers of ferrocrete and other construction material between me and the middle and upper hive.
Well, if we found a way down to you, surely you will be able to find your way up to us. And sure.
Gabrick leans up. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Gabrick leans over and goes, "What me and the boys usually do is just shout and yell real loud."
I don't think shouting is going to work through several kilometers of ferrocrete.
Gabrick taps the sort of snub of his nose with a big grin and says, "Right, but you ever try it real loud?"
No, the Tau have specialized communications relays for that.
Well, there you go.
disinclined to do things your way.
You lost.
Either way, Showcase will give Jason the comm frequency that we have been using.
He memorizes it and nods. Well, if I need to contact you while you're still on this planet, I will remember.
Alright.
Although, how long do you think you'll be staying?
Showcase glances over to the rest of the group before answering. Well, I don't think I'm the best person to answer that question, nor is anyone else here, possibly. That may depend on our Inquisitor superior.
I believe we'll be staying here until the Cognitae are dealt with, or at least identified, so that they can be dealt with, but that just depends on how long it takes to root them out.
True.
Well, I don't know how active your cult is going to be on this planet. What I understand, they found what they were looking for. Probably left traps for anyone on the way, but I suspect if you're looking to cut this off at the head, you're not going to find it here.
That'd be too easy. And if there's one thing that the followers of chaos love, it's difficulty with everything.
Also, by the way, what is everyone's objectives? Because I realized that we didn't set that up because we were having a hell of a time before this recording started.
Oh, right.
Let me check.
Let's roll some dice.
A D6?
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm not going to take that one.
I don't have a book open right now.
Yeah, I had to open mine
I have
too.
it open. I am always prepared.
Rub it in.
Oh, no, it's just that I get here
I'm just-
early and do everything
No, I'm-
ahead of time.
Yeah,
It's my jam.
it's all good.
Well,
Back.
I am not going to take that 5. I'm instead going to take my first option, which is to compare Tau culture, technology, or art to that of another species.
6 for the Astartes.
6 for the Astartes is
Yours is-
ruminate on the
Yeah.
divide between Astartes and mortals.
That one mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't find my objective.
Think on the differences between Space Marines and normal human. They are vast.
There are many.
Speak or just think on it?
Ruminate, so make an observation on.
Okay.
I can't find mine. I'm on the archetype.
I have them here. What did you roll?
It's in your faction.
Ah, okay. I didn't roll anything.
Oh, well then.
5.
Call a wise stricture your drill abbess laid down and its applications to the current situation. And Craig, go ahead and roll for your objective, because we realized that we hadn't done that in this period.
6.
For the orcs. Let's see what the orcs 6 is.
Apply the cunning of Mork to a situation.
I'm going to assume suggesting to shout real loud doesn't quite cut it on that one.
No, that's more of a Gork thing. So, you continue on up. After a certain amount of travel, you approach near the sanctuary that Jonas had set up, and he splits off from the group, offers a nod and a farewell to each of you, and makes his way back inside to protect the individuals there. And then you continue to head back up to the cistern and make your way back to hideout. When you arrive, Tacitus and Gora and your astropath are still waiting, keeping an eye out. As you return, Gora looks up. Ah, you all look like you've seen a ghost.
Seen a lot worse than that.
Yes, there's...
Whatever you're saying, Cody, just got completely cut off.
No, I'm trying to think of the word. I
Okay,
cut myself off.
Okay,
I'm
you're mouthing words, and I was like, is he speaking?
No, I wasn't. I was trying to think of a word. Many dangerous denizens. The farther down you go.
I mean, there are typically a number of dangerous gangers and mutants who are delving in the hive.
Those are troublesome. Probably need to tell Faust, but so that others can be informed, or at least the proper. But there are Necrons below the hive city, at least one.
And you see like the color drain from her face as you mentioned that. Ah, I see.
Yes, there's
you
a
find
difference
a
between
complex.
trouble. It was a complex, wasn't it?
Yes, it was an entire tomb complex.
Yeah.
As far as you're.
It was a very large structure and complex, yes.
Oh dear. This is a matter for the Ordo Xenos.
They did mention their master, by the way. One, I believe it was, Trays in the Infinite, whoever that may be.
And you see she kind of nods as if processing that information and trying to think on it. So it sounds like a Necron Lord's name. I'm sure our savant would have more, but yes, we should definitely contact Faust and let him know that this world is a tomb world, and we had been unaware of that fact.
The doorman, as it were, did not seem entirely hostile when we met him. I don't know how to address them.
You encountered an. You're still alive.
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit.
You encountered an active Necron, and you're still alive.
Yes, they spoke to us. Gave us information.
If it can speak, it was definitely a very advanced one.
It was terrifying.
From the descriptions we've heard, I've heard the short descriptions that we got from. Is Jason still with us?
No, he's gone. But
Oh yeah. From the scout Jason that was with us, most of them were supposed to be more machine or entirely machine. This one had bits of flesh.
flayed ones don't usually speak. What do you mean bits of flesh?
I'm trying to remember. Like you showed the picture. That was a pretty accurate picture.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, flesh for cheekbones. Was there muscles? I couldn't.
The big thing was it seemed to have teeth.
Yeah. Oh, and teeth.
and
that was
a
off-putting.
somewhat sort of constructed musculature, even if it was mostly metal. It definitely seemed more built out of like fleshy, even if it was made of metal, than typical Necrons who are just walking metal skeletons.
Yeah, I will give that best description that I can.
We haven't seen Necron Pariah. We haven't seen a Pariah in hundreds of years.
Well, apparently one of them is the doorman for this Lord Trazen.
That is a concern. Necron Pariahs are a unique thing among the Necrons, in that where the majority of the Necron creations are Xenos breed, crafted from living metal and oft soulless. The Pariah is also soulless, but for a different reason. Pariah is what happens when enterprising Necrons get their hands on blanks, usually human blanks.
That explains a lot about Sidra's response to it.
Yes, it does.
She looks over at Sidra, who is still very much pale, sweating, and shaking in the corner.
Yeah.
What's that? What's a blank?
You know, you're weird boys, Gobrook.
Right.
It's the people that can stop them from being weird.
Ain't nothing can stop those boys being weird. One time I saw one of them wearing a boot for hat.
They can't do their weird things. They can still act weird. No magics happen, though. From what I understand.
Is accurate to the situation, yes.
Oh,
They're anti-psychers, as rare among psychers as psychers are among humans.
But the Necron did give us some information about the Cognite on this planet.
That's impressive. Okay. What information did you get out of it?
They are apparently led by someone who has come back from the dead, and the name Eisenhorn was mentioned.
Eisenhorn.
She stumbles a little bit over the pronunciation of the name.
Eisenhorn's an Inquisitor.
The name was used in conversation, I think the Pariah said.
Yes, the enemy of an enemy is Eisenhorn. The enemy of our enemy is Eisenhorn, I believe is what the Necron told us.
So whoever this Cognite person that was here is a known enemy of Eisenhorn's. Or at least he knows them.
It would seem that way. Do Necrons have a sense of humor? Because that would be unfortunate.
I've never met one that did. But then I've only met two.
Which is one more than us, and one was enough.
Yes. It also said that they were servants of the Annihilator, the primordial Annihilator, and that we should seek black ships.
The Primordial Annihilator is an archaic term, chaos. So that shakes out. Black ships. Any particular reason?
Apparently, the Sisters of Silence are on these black ships, and they might be able to provide us with them.
Yes, that is The Sisters of Silence are not common, but they do typically, as part of their usual role, act as guards and escorts among the black ships to help bring in psychers. It's a role that has largely been taken over by the Adeptus Sororitas in many ways, but now that they've sort of been brought back into the fold, they do have taken up some of their old duties in guarding ships.
Is there a... If we were to find one of these black ships, and that ship had a sister or more on board, would it be possible to negotiate with the captain for... I don't want to say use because that's not the best phrasing, but it's the first one that comes to mind.
Assistance?
Assistance, thank you. Assistance from the sisters.
Well, it wouldn't even be a matter of negotiation. Faust is the one making the call. Inquisitors have the ability to command black ships, and technically speaking, the sisters as well, though that's not exactly a mandate and sisters have been overly enthusiastic about following.
Complexity within...
Perhaps if I were able to speak with them, perhaps could listen to a sister.
The Sisters of Silence aren't quite the same as the Adeptus Sororitas. They're a much older organization. They were here during the Great Crusade, before anything to do with chaos was ever known. But you'd have a hard time speaking with one.
That's true. I just remembered. It's been a long day.
They are called Sisters of Silence for a reason.
Yes.
Oh, the silence is literal?
Literal.
Each of them takes a vow of silence. They are forbidden to speak.
Well, that's nothing an interpreter wouldn't fix.
Can they act things out?
They have two different sign languages that they can use to communicate, but I don't think anyone here understands Thought Mark or Battle Mark.
And they write things down?
They can, but that's certainly very slow.
Better than nothing.
Can we... Would we have... well, when we get back to the ship, when we look for this, perhaps I can try to find a tablet of some sort to at least learn a little bit of Battle Mark.
You'd want Thought Mark.
Thought Mark.
Thought Mark is the sign language they use for transferring of complex ideas and actual conversation. Battle Mark is more of a... It's exactly what it sounds like. It's for quick signs that need to be delivered in combat.
Well, it seems we have two options as far as I see things. We can either pursue the location of a black ship and intercept it to recruit a Sister of Silence, or we could track down any more mentions of this Eisenhorn individual.
Both of those will require the Inquisitor's help.
Right.
We should report to Faust first.
That makes sense.
Right. She looks over her shoulder at the astropath, who just kind of looks at the group of you with their headbands still covering their eyes. Very well, I will send them in. He sort of wanders off into a different room.
Do we just hear dial-up noises on the other side of the door?
Acapella dial-up.
The door shuts, and there is a notable energy field that can almost be felt as they create a cocoon out of whatever machinery they had set up to help set up their choir. That sort of isolates them from the rest of the environment as they begin their astropathic sending.
Well,
So, is there anything else we should investigate while we're here? Before, see if anything else, any cognitaire left behind, any ideas?
Well, you certainly got caught by an ambush on the way in, so at the very least, they've got mercenary aid operating here. That said, I don't know that anything truly important will be here other than just traps to get in your way and slow you down.
diversions and distractions to keep us from our real enemy.
Yes.
If there's anything you need to find down here, then be my guest. It'll take some time before anything comes to extract us.
I do have one more question. The Lamenters chapter of Space Marines, are they still active?
I don't keep track of Space Marine chapters as a matter of habit, but
Entirely fair.
probably find out.
Well,
Why do you ask?
we ran into a Scout Marine down in the lower hive.
Sorry?
We ran into a Scout Marine down in the lower hive.
You said scout earlier.
Yes, I brushed over it a bit. Like I said, long day. Necron, lots of things.
Apparently. What is a scout marine doing in the underhive of a random hive world?
Taking care of the people down there.
He has lost contact with his chapter.
Okay.
And I suggested the possibility.
Oh,
Whoa.
Tyranids, everybody get down!
Scourge out!
I just had a heart attack.
I suggested the possibility that the Inquisition might be able to help reunite him with his people.
Maybe, yeah. Is that okay? Yeah, we should probably return a wandering scout to its chapter if possible, yes. That's just one more thing to add to the list as we lost Holly for a second.
What?
More technical difficulties.
Please stand by.
Well, we appear to be having one or two little problems at the moment.
I recognize that reference.
Yep. It's a good one.
All right. Continuing on while Holly presumably tries to get back to...
Are we? I may have missed this. Did we switch over to somebody else recording?
Yes, I've got it covered.
Oh, okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure we weren't
Though
dropping parts of the recording. Sorry.
Though I will note I'm getting a couple of tiny hiccups from William, but nobody else, for some reason.
It's probably Discord's sound.
Oh yes, your sound gate.
Yeah.
It's either super sensitive or it will never pick you up.
Yeah, that's the thing about Discord. And if I set it to automatically determine input sensitivity, I just become impossibly loud. So...
It wouldn't be a tabletop game online without technical problems.
And there she is.
Welcome back.
Assuming she can get her sound back working. Find out in a minute. So, Gora kind of looks over the lot of you. Anything else that I should know from your extremely eventful trip into the Underhive?
Jacques looks to the others.
Mira looks back and
I think that's everything.
a small tidbit of information. The Necron seemed to be controlling a handful of humans through some technology to patrol the lower sections of the Hive City. It was also arming them.
That's concerning.
But they had no control over themselves from what I could... Well, they may have, but I would assume not.
Well,
Right. And then weapons was proper killing. They had shooters with choppers attached. Or maybe they was choppers with shooters.
Yes, and Mira will kind of like lift up her arms, and there's still the holes in her armor, but she's healed from their weapons, if I remember correctly, because she did get shot by them.
yeah. That looks like that. Yes, that looks like Gauss weapon impacts. Huh. All right.
I can tell you it hurt.
Jacques pulls out a small data pad and starts tapping at it.
Gauss flares are molecular disassembly weapons. They take apart their targets, as it sounds, on the molecular level and basically disintegrate it.
So noted.
They're not something to be taken lightly.
Keep that in mind if I ever run into them again. Now I hope I do not.
That information could prove useful to the right people. I'm sorry, I'm thinking aloud.
There's a reason we work with the Farside Enclave and not with the Tau Empire proper. We're not as worried about you expanding.
Oh, I was thinking more in the interest of defending ourselves against these weapons if we happen to face them.
That's all well and good.
Of course, I can't claim to know what our scientists produce in their laboratories. Am I digging myself a hole? Gora, please stop me if I am.
No, that's fine.
I think the worst thing from my perspective, I think the worst thing was that when you kill them, the weapons went away. Is that the sort of thing that means that they had to be under the control of this boss Necroni? Or is that something we could get away from if we took their masks off?
Typically speaking, retrieval like that happens within proximity to a Necron tomb. Necrons are notoriously difficult to get technology from. The Adeptus Mechanicus try every time they come across. They are notoriously obsessive about trying to get their hands on Necron. But typically speaking, any Necrons or any Necron equipment that is damaged or destroyed within the proximity of a Necron tomb will be transported elsewhere. I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever gotten a solid idea of where any of it goes. Necrons in the field, away from a tomb, often will remain on the ground when they die, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're gone, because they have shown a startling ability to reassemble themselves after being what we had thought had been destroyed.
So how's you take them apart for good?
Thoroughly.
Gabrick grins.
Most reports have stated that high explosive rounds directly into the central core, right around where a human heart would be, tend to be the most effective.
You got any of those?
Hearts?
Well, yeah, I guess, but no, all explosive rounds. And he looks around the apartment expectantly.
She points at the Space Marines.
Good luck trying to get ammunition from them.
Gabrick reaches up, makes an attempt to smooth out his grease and blood spattered jacket, and smiles at Gita.
Who is not here right now to respond.
I know. But he's not gonna do it.
Okay, fair.
We'll deal with that in a minute. Whenever.
Actually, I feel like she would probably just ignore him anyway.
Probably, yes.
She's focused on something else.
But yes, generally speaking, extreme trauma to central core sections is about the only thing we've ever confirmed works. And that's not even 100% effective, it's just usually the primary answer. It's become standard battle doctrine among most Astartes chapters that have become familiar with battling Necrons to, what was it, the one Black Templar told me? Double tap.
Oh, right.
Confirm that they're dead, I suppose.
We can do that. Well, it don't sound like we're going to be fighting too many of them for right now anyways, right?
It shouldn't be if this one hasn't decided that it's going to kill us all. And if the tomb is active and they haven't started immediately eliminating all life on the planet, then that's a saving grace, I guess?
Gabrick nods a little disappointedly.
But I believe that is everything that we have covered in our investigation on this world.
Right. That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And it's at that point the door to the choir opens again and the Ashupas steps back. The message has been sent and received, and I have been given a response. The Umbra Draconis is on its way back to system. It is not currently carrying the Inquisitor, but it will bring us back to his location.
Do you know where he is now?
His coordinates were not given in the return. However, it will be some days. The Umbra Draconis is expected within the week, but not for a few days.
All right.
So, and Gora looks over at the rest of you. Which means that if any of you have anything you need to do, you've got a couple days to do it.
Well, so we're just here waiting then?
At the moment, I hesitate very strongly to say this. But go pick a bar fight, Gobrick, and don't destroy everything around it.
Roy! He does his best to imitate the most recent salute he's seen from any of the associated group, and immediately turns to head for the door.
And Tacitus, I will keep an eye from a distance to make sure the destruction does not get too warm. And Tacitus walks out after.
Well, after the last time I went to a bar with Gobrick, I'm disinclined to repeat the experience. It's a good thing.
What happened?
Well, we ran into some... There was some aggressive negotiation, shall we say. But, and the drink was not to my liking either. Far too strong for my tastes.
Well, you made it back in one piece.
True, but as much as I hate to say it, I have the orc to thank for that. And his very large gun, which may be surprising to everyone here, but he did not need to shoot it.
That sounds good.
Did he shoot it anyway?
Yes, that is a good question. Just because he doesn't need to, has yet to the times I've seen him unload it in the hallways in the Umbra Decanus, just because he likes the noise every once in a while. Just a quick little. Brrr.
Since when has Gobrick ever fired that thing for less than 3 seconds at a time? But
In time.
But to answer the
Narrator, he had not.
But to answer the question, surprisingly, no. We managed to talk our aggressors into leaving the bar.
Impressive, considering this isn't the most xenophobic section of the Imperium, being on the edge of Segmentum Pacificus, but also not the least.
Yes.
That would actually be over near your section of space.
Well, be that as it may, it seems that that particular bar was home to some folk who disapprove of non-humans.
Well, you're alive, and apparently nothing got destroyed. Let's see if that record holds up.
Oh, that record is absolutely not going to hold up, but it won't be from my doing.
You gave him express permission to not destroy, but at least maim.
Well, from my understanding of having to occasionally work with orcs, if you don't give them a fight occasionally, they'll eventually turn on you.
Well, I hope he has fun and doesn't kill anybody that doesn't deserve it, I guess. But
You learn in the Inquisition that guilt is a matter of when, not of if.
yes. I'm gonna go to a different room, change out of my armor, I'm not gonna leave both of my swords here, or leave any of my swords here.
All four of them!
Yeah. No, I only brought the power swords with me on planet. The chain swords are back up at the Draconis. And on my way out of that room, I'm going to see if perhaps I'll be able to scrounge up a data slate with some of this thought mark.
Good luck. You'll likely only find anything relating to it in scholarly papers. It's very specific to the sisters, so any attempts to study it will likely originate from scholars with knowledge from Terra, You might find something like that, but good luck.
I've got a few days to kill, and if I find something, it's a head start.
Oh.
I should be back within a few hours before nightfall. And I'll have my box on me.
Good. I'll send someone to contact you if we need you.
And she'll head out.
Gora looks over at Shokais. And you? Or are you going to...
I will be here until I am needed.
Fair enough.
I have notes to compile.
As it turns out, fun fact that you might not know, actually the most open to Xenos interactions sections of the galaxy that I've ever come across were actually near the Tau dynasties on the galactic eastern fringe. Some worlds on that far corner, including the world of Gravelax, being a particular example that stands out. Although that one's mostly from records of a different Ordo Xenos Inquisitor and her interactions with the Imperial Guard from that section of the galaxy.
Gravelax. I'll have to keep that in mind. Thank you.
And with that, some time's going to pass. What's everyone up to over the next couple of days?
Well, I have a few thoughts. Once Showcase finishes the record that she's keeping of her assignment to Faust, or finishes updating it specifically, it's not over yet. Much of her time is probably spent maintaining the battlesuit. Oh wait, no. Oh, no, she did bring...
Hey, the battlesuit's here on planet. You didn't bring it to the Underhive.
Okay, good. I'd legitimately forgotten whether I'd brought it planet side with me. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So she would be running routine maintenance on the battlesuit, making sure it's everything's calibrated properly, and keeping Sidra out of it.
Sidra, who, being spooked as hell from that situation, stays to her room a lot, actually.
Oh, well then.
You compile your notes, maintain your battlesuit.
Yeah, Showcase is not a very interesting person in her downtime.
Mira, you are going to see if you could scrounge up any and all information about Thoughtmark.
Correct.
So go ahead and give me a character quick. Get their
Investigation.
And yeah, investigation difficulty 3.
Right. One.
So your investigation
Sherlock
doesn't manage
Holmes.
to your investigation doesn't quite manage to pull anything up. As you look around, you kind of expect this, honestly, because again, Thoughtmark is a specific sign language that is used primarily by the Sisters of Silence. So it's unlikely that you'd find anything about it on this random backwater hive world.
Yeah. Hey, we found a Necron here.
You did, which was already highly unexpected.
Yeah.
But you suspect that you'll probably be able to find all the information you'll need once you have access to Inquisitorial archives.
Yeah. After that whenever that doesn't pan out for the day, because she doesn't spend the whole time, the whole day. She'll do it every day until we get picked up, but only for a few hours of the day, and then pretty much every point after that, she's just doing as much maintenance as she can on her suit and her jump jets, and then just general solo training with the power swords off, not activated. Just going through forms.
It's entirely. Is Mira open to the idea of someone observing these?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Shokais might. She might do that. Might sit in on one and watch Mira work for a while.
It's only fair. I messed with your suit.
I mean, I'm not about to just pick apart pieces of your armor. But given that the Tau typically engage in superior firepower over engaging in melee, with the exception of Commander Farsight, of course, it's something that she finds curious, but has no desire to engage in herself.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was gonna say she'll probably be like, "You want it?" And then as soon as
No.
don't worry, it's off. It's still sharp.
That's still a very large and lumpen piece of metal. I don't believe I have the finesse to wield that.
Finesse.
I mean, Tau and human interpretations of that might be very different things.
Meanwhile, Gobrick, what are you up to? How many bar fights do you get into? How many things do you break?
I think
Do you invite Mira?
Does Mira come? Because I think while that conversation was happening about how Gobrick exercised restraint last time, he is running like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory after he found the golden ticket, just like down the road as fast as he possibly can, back to the nearest bar, bursts through the door, and
just punches someone.
He just goes, "Oi lads, time at the bar," and punches the closest person. And he is probably not hard to find if Mira wants to track him down.
Yeah.
He
At
does
least once, yeah. Sure.
It's like a pub crawl, but it's all fights, so it's a pub brawl. He just moves from one to the next.
Oh. Probably solidly for the few days it takes.
Yes, 100%. I'm a little shaky on how or whether orcs sleep, but during that time period, he will probably fight until he either gets so tired he takes little naps, like on the bar or like under a table, or just until he gets knocked out, wakes back up, and starts punching people again.
Orcs do take naps occasionally. It mostly seems to be when they're bored, though. So when they've got a constant source of fights, they typically don't get bored.
Yeah, so unless he's actually knocked unconscious. Would he at any point run afoul of what is the local
The
Arbites.
guard group called?
Arbites or PDF?
I guess the Arbites. Would they intervene at any point, or would Mira come and track him down?
The Arbites are definitely the ones who would be more of a threat. The PDF are basically people who couldn't make it into the Imperial Guard. Okay. So
he's not using his shooter unless anybody else draws a gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly just punching.
So it stays a bar brawl because no one is dumb enough to try and pull a snub like a stubber on an orc.
Okay.
An orc with the biggest gun you will ever see in your lifetime.
It's like he hasn't used it yet. If I start, he will. So let's not.
It's like the scene from Dirty Harry, except instead of the whole monologue, he just goes, "This is my snaz gun," and starts shooting immediately.
So not like Dirty Harry at all then.
It's like the scene from Dirty Harry for about half a second.
I know what you're thinking. Damn, that thing's big. You're right.
Oh, God.
I thought you were trying to intimidate me into not shooting. No, I just like talking about my snaz gun. Always gonna shoot.
Oh, man. The Arbites would probably begin to interfere, and then a Space Marine just kind of heads them off and is like, "Don't."
No.
Let him have his
The work
fun.
of the Emperor.
You are walking to your death if you try to stop him.
It is my duty as a servant of the Emperor to make sure that you do not throw your life away meaninglessly. Go away.
He is for no reason in a black suit all of a sudden like, "Hey that lads, I'm on a mission from God."
Oh, God.
Thus, Gobrick perfectly cements his role as the comic relief of the party.
Oh, wait for me pathos episode. It's gonna get you crying. God damn it.
Oh, God. This is why I love orcs so much. Oh.
I could have been a contender, fancy lad.
For those playing at home, our GM is dying of laughter.
Yeah. Craig broke him.
Oh,
I get
God.
it.
Okay. Need to fucking breathe. Fuck. Oh, man. Okay. So, a couple days pass. The orc doesn't stop fighting for most of those days. They will mark this day they will mark these days in history as the Green Brawl, as the time when an orc was just let loose across every bar in the hive, and no one was able to stop him. And for some reason, the Arbites were nowhere to be seen. Everyone seemed to notice a Space Marine that was nearby all the time, and yet he also never got involved. And occasionally there was a Battle Sister that showed up at one point, but instead of fighting the orc, just joined in and fought everyone else too. This will go down in legend. Generations will tell their children about these events.
They celebrate it every year with an anniversary bar brawl that they call Orktoberfest.
God damn it.
Perfect.
Oh, that got me. Wow. I am amazed I didn't see that coming.
I'm not remotely sorry.
I think we know you're not.
Oh. Okay, yeah. At the end of the few days, you receive word that the Umbra Draconis is in orbit and that a gun cutter is waiting for you in the space dock to bring you back up to the ship.
Great. Let's go.
All right.
So, within a few hours, you are leaving the planet's gravitational pull and heading back up to the massive ship that is the Umbra Draconis. As you arrive, you are greeted in the hangar bay by Lysandre Corax, who is the first officer of the ship. Lysandre, Tim, where'd you go, Lysandre? No, I have literally never gotten a solid image for Lysandre. Good to know. It's not the person I need to fill in. But Lysandre Corax is a sort of scruffy-haired individual, sort of long, bushy sideburns that connect down into a full beard and mustache combination. Sort of scraggly hair kept relatively short, wearing what looks like it used to be a definitely never like Navy, never military, but it was definitely at one point an officer's outfit. You would suspect from like his days as a Reaver, because your understanding from your time on the Ember Draconis is that Kayleen Tremaris, the shipmistress, used to be a Reaver Queen, and that Lysandre Corax was one of her captains. So he definitely has that sort of space pirate aesthetic. And he's the one that greets you as you all step off the ship. Right, welcome back to the ship. Good to see all of you. We'll be heading back to find the Inquisitor as soon as everything's put in order and we're ready to leave. Welcome back aboard.
Thanks.
Happy to be back.
Indeed.
I hear you've had quite a time down there. From whatever reports we've been getting from your astropath, things look quite hectic.
Hectic is certainly a word to describe it, yes.
Oh, we liked it. It's been great.
Looks over at the orc. I imagine you would. All right. Well, your quarters are still available. All have been kept in the same condition they were left in. And, well, we'll be departing within the day, and we'll be back in the warp, so, as always, keep away from portholes whenever you're near. And try not to think too much about the madness outside the doors.
See, now that you've said it,
I know, that's just how I have me fun.
fun is certainly a descriptor. But, yes,
I like it.
but it is good to be back. And in another form of, well, what passes for home.
Anyway, last I heard, Uriel Marbray was looking to see you as soon as all of you came back onto the ship. I'm due back up on the bridge, so you can find Seneschal yourself. He'll have something for you, I believe.
Well, all right then.
He turns and makes his way back towards the bridge.
From the, I have a question. From the time we've spent on the Ember Draconis, is it more a case of us finding Marbray or Marbray finding us?
From your experience, it's usually been Marbray finding you.
Okay then. Well, if previous encounters are to be believed, then we may not need to scour the ship from top to bottom.
Yes, they may pop up.
You start wandering, and pretty much as soon as you leave the hangar, you find sitting on, like leaning against one of the walls, the dark hair and close-cropped goatee of Uriel Marbray in his trademark black and brocaded outfit, as he sort of leans against one of the walls. Welcome back to the ship, gentlemen and ladies.
I thought so. The headpiece of Shokai's suit turns to Mira and back as she's saying that.
Well, based on the information that you'd given me, I took the liberty of arranging some information that you might want as soon as you came back. We'll be heading back to retrieve Inquisitor Faust shortly from his undercover activities amongst the Imperial Guard of a nearby system. But something that came up that you might be interested in, I talked to Savant Expositus and got the information that you might want regarding Thoughtmark, he says, handing a data slate over to Mira.
Wonderful.
Basic primer. Might not get you completely fluent, but given enough time, I'm sure you'll be able to at least hold basic conversation with a Sister of Silence.
Thank you.
And then other matters that I looked into. This Necron Lord you mentioned, Trazen the Infinite. There's a uncomfortable amount of history within the Inquisitorial archives covering this Trazen individual, known as an eccentric even among Necrons, which, how the hell one defines an eccentric as far as Necrons are concerned is beyond me. But a mysterious Necron lord known for his acquisition of strange and unique specimens for his collection that he keeps somewhere in the galaxy. Been known to kidnap or potentially even outright abduct. Oh, he's been known to kidnap individuals and steal any relevant artifacts that seem to catch his eye. He's been less openly violent compared to other Necron forces, but still formidable in his own right. Inquisitorial records list him as present at the fall of Cadia, at the beginning of the last Black Crusade by Abaddon. Records state that he was vital in whatever Archimagos Belisarius Call and High Commander Ursakar E. Creed's efforts to repel Chaos's assault. Whatever he did, it was important, and equally important, whatever he did, it wasn't enough. Cadia still fell, and that's why we've got this monstrous rift cutting the galaxy in half. But he's a known quantity, and it's hard to say whose side he's on, but it's decidedly not Chaos. So in that regard, at the very least, we have an enemy of our enemy. And in the words of the disgraced Inquisitor Quicksauce, the enemy of my enemy is a problem for later. In the meantime, they might be useful.
Well then, that is definitely something to be aware of.
Say that one more time.
Well, that is definitely something to keep in mind for future incidences of Necron activity.
Were you able to find any information on Inquisitor Eisenhorn? As they were mentioned as well, as they might have information as to who's currently leading or at least organizing some of the Cognite.
Ex-Inquisitor Eisenhorn, as far as my current records state. According to the most recent Inquisitorial records, as far as the Ordo Xenos is concerned, which, I will be honest with you, is not the best. The current status of Inquisitor Eisenhorn is renegade, at the very least. He's Though, according to the records I found, Eisenhorn has been declared excommunicate traitoris at least twice and been exonerated both times. So it's hard to say exactly what's going to be happening in the foreseeable future, but as far as we currently know, he is an exile from the Inquisition. Most likely sources of contact are his former pupil, Gideon Ravener, who last information states had been tasked to track him down and bring him in. So that's another entirely different can of space parasites you're stepping into if you decide you want to try and step into that to try and find this Inquisitor.
Do we know of any other means of tracking Eisenhorn?
Eisenhorn does his best to make sure that he's not easy to track. Only people who know him well are ever able to find him, which, as far as we have contacts, is one Gideon Ravener.
That's it. Very well. Then this Ravenor is almost certainly our first port of call, if we know where to find him.
That one's a little bit easier. Ravener is somewhat distinctive. He's easy to track just by sightings of his appearance. And inquisitorial records are somewhat more specific about him. Him having an equally colorful record as compared to his former master. He is, however, still a member of the Inquisition, having been brought out of his own self-imposed retirement, and inquisitorial records are watching him closely.
Well, then where might we find him?
That's the harder part.
Oh,
His last known location was in Segmentum Obscurus, which, if you remember your directions on the galaxy map, is on the other side of the rift.
wonderful.
Well, how are we supposed to get on the other side of Gork's Grin?
That's
Do I
correct.
know? Do you just have to take the long way around, or are there any ways that Gabrick would know?
So, there have been... Actually, go ahead and roll me just to see what Gabrick would know.
Yeah.
Roll me... skills. I almost want to say scholar, but I know that's not going to work for you.
Yeah. I mean, most of his stuff is not particularly... This is not his forte.
Roll me pilot, actually.
Slightly better, but not by much. Let's see.
You go from 2 to 9, man.
Wait. No, that can't be right.
It's
Oh,
agility.
wait, it uses agility. Yes! And I actually have points in that. Never mind, I'm good at that. Okay, cool. I forgot. Which is a very Gabrick thing to do. Oh, wait, I can fly it. All right, it's all good. We're not going to crash. What can I think of?
With 5 successes, there's a few ways. You can definitely take the long way around, but that takes ages because you have to basically plot your jumps a short distance at a time. Especially in Humi vessels, because Humis always try and use that stupid lantern that's on the home world. That's on their home world. And if they're trying to fly without that, they're always having trouble. Orcs never have to worry about that. They just go and find their way. But when Hueys are trying to fly on the other side, they always have to make their jumps as short and controlled as possible to try not to get lost. But aside from going around, there's also a few passages through, but they're dangerous and, while they're faster, they're certainly a hell of a ride.
Gabrick is not hearing a downside.
Why am I not surprised?
Gabrick smiles and says, so have we got to get our way through the Grin? Have you ever considered taking this route? Is there a map of the?
I mean, as soon as you suggest something, he'll pull up a galaxy map on his.
Okay, great.
He'll project one on a hololith.
So he will point out the shortest, but I guess the most direct route, which is probably with as far as it goes to the Maledictum, probably the most dangerous, but or the most twisty. But he will point out a way that he knows through from where they are to get through to the Segmentum Obscurus.
Which, as far as the galaxy map has it, actually, because of your war boss's recent experience, the way that you know the most recently straight through the Maledictum is actually right around Fenris.
Okay. Yeah. So he'll point that out, and again, I know Gita's not here, but we'll sort of smile again in Gita's direction and say, well, maybe you want to stop up. Maybe get some things. Get some gifts for your good friends. And does that count as me being cunning?
Yes, that will absolutely fulfill your objective.
with all the subtlety and guile of a 4-year-old parent who's going to bring him something home from their trip.
Well,
does anybody seem inclined to go this way?
As Uriel kind of looks at the path, there are Imperial records of the Space Wolves cutting their way through the Cicatrix Maledictum to get across. You're sure you know this way is there?
Oh, dead sure. Dead sure.
He looks at you as if he's not at all comforted by that statement.
So he kept running out and dead. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you what, I'd bet me life on it.
That does not reassure me.
Yeah,
He literally would be.
Jorgais takes one step back into a drone's look between Uriel and Gobrick a few times.
That's something we'll have to bring up to the Inquisitor once we have retrieved him. The other option that we might be able to pursue is chasing down some black ships to try and retrieve some assistance from the Sisters of Silence. Which the Inquisitor is also our primary lead to being able to contact any black ships. He has all of the protocols and requirements to be able to contact and demand their assistance. So.
That makes sense.
They might actually be able to help us when we get on, if we get onto the other side of the Maledictus.
Actually, that is a notable thing. The presence of Sisters of Silence might actually have something of a calming effect on the warp, if need be. That might actually make our passage through to the other side of the Cicatrix Maledictum marginally more survivable, and I'll take any marginal increase as far as that goes.
No.
Well, evidently, collecting the Inquisitor is our first port of call.
Yep.
Where are we headed?
Heading a little bit further east into Segmentum Pacificus around Vordrast, where he's been serving with a regiment of the Valhallans. So I'm gonna have to take a look around there.
All right.
Although specifically, he's been working with another regiment. There's a regiment of the Valhallan 597th that's also working with a group of Noxian Irregulars. And the Noxians are specifically where he's been assigned as a commissar, so look into that.
Is there something that he needs to direct them to deal with?
Noxian Irregulars are, well, the name says it. They're not typical guard units. They're unconventional in a number of ways. And he'd been
Looks
directed...
at the rest of the group.
Exactly.
Sound like a right bunch of weirdos.
And he had intended to use them to help squash some potential cognite activity within a number of other Imperial Guard regiments. The presence of the 597th is an added bonus because they're a well-known crack-fighting force from Valhalla, headed by another famous commissar. I don't keep track of names. But the group of them working together is supposedly welcome addition as far as the Inquisitor was concerned. So he was also excited about the potential ability to work with another Inquisitor who has been known to use the 597th from time to time. So it's a right mashup of different Imperial Guard forces and potential inquisitorial agents. It's our job to tell him that he's had his fun and get him back on board.
Well then, I have to wonder how they will react to our presence.
Well, the Inquisitor knows we're on our way, so hopefully everything will play out fine, though who knows how the Noxians will react.
Yes, that was my first thought, how the Imperial Guard will react to our presence. She side-eyes Gobrick.
So just one of the drones turns.
Yep. Exactly one drone turns to face Gobrick, and it's the gun drone.
Gobrick waves cheerfully at it.
Well, I don't know about the Noxians, but I can tell you that it'll be a hell of a time having a conversation with the 597. Yeah. Valhallan Ice Warriors have a history, and, well, their favorite enemies are orcs.
Well.
Oh, all right. I like the sound of that.
Orcs invaded Valhalla at one point, long time ago, and planetary memory runs deep.
So do orcs spore.
Yeah. Every Valhallan's grandfather has a tale about finding an orc frozen in ice and thawing it out, and they just came back to life and tried to kill them.
Gobrick grins in an almost, like, patriarchal fashion with pride at that story. Well, it sounds like my boys. A planet that cold, though, probably is not... They wouldn't be getting periodic crops of new orcs growing, right?
Probably not. All
Too
things
cold?
considered.
Okay. Yeah.
Like you would suspect that Valhalla is probably orc free at this point, and the stories are probably just stories. Although an orc is probably hardy enough to survive being frozen solid if you thaw him out.
I mean that part. Yeah, there are probably still, original invasion orcs froze. I'm just wondering about the spores that they would have left behind. Probably not grow. Okay,
probably not.
Okay.
One of the few things that an orc won't grow in is ice.
we got the neck boys working on it.
I'm almost excited to see that shake down, if it wasn't for the fact that the ship might be in the crossfire.
Yes, I have concerns about the rest of us being caught in the crossfire as well, given that we are all on the same side right now.
They keep saying that.
Oh, I was merely referring to Inquisitor Faust's retinue, let alone the people he's working with.
Well, yeah. Well, nonetheless, we got a few days before we'll get back to wherever planet was. Vordrast, I think? No? Somewhere around that region?
Yes, Vordrast, you said.
Anyway. We're about to take off in the next few hours. Make any preparations you need to, and if you have any more questions, ask me or the Savant. We'll have something for you.
Alright. I'll be in my room. I'll be in my quarters if you need me. The drones reattach themselves to Showcase as she walks off.
I need to stop at the quartermaster's.
Well, I'm sure Drifa's excited for whatever insane order you have for her now.
Oh, not an order, more of a repair, and shows him the holes in her armor.
In that case, you might actually want to take yourself over to Engine Seer Yen. She might be able to get that fixed up for you.
I will do that instead, then.
Drifa is more about keeping everything in order and maintaining what we have in supply. Engine Seer Yen is the one who will be able to actually do repairs.
Right.
Where is everyone going for this time being? I know Mira's headed to see Engine Seer Yen.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone else that I might need to speak to? Consulting notes.
You are super quiet. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, no, that was just me thinking aloud.
Oh, okay. Gover's going to go back to his room and see if there's a... Again, this is me not knowing how fast stuff is, but how fast do crops of spores grow? Would he have anything growing in his chamber already?
There isn't enough soil on a starship for orcs to grow.
Okay.
Typically speaking, on an orc ship, absolutely, but
yeah, fair. Okay.
On an imperial ship, typically speaking, the like sanitation standards would prevent orc spores from being able to take root and grow.
Okay.
So you probably don't have anything immediately growing on your ship. You also suspect that the Inquisitor, being aware of that, would have taken precautions with his ship to make sure he didn't have more orcs than he expected on board.
Sure. I out of character would have assumed that, but when we returned, they said, your rooms are all just as you left them. And he's like, oh, I'll go see if there's any grots running around.
No. You go and check, and yeah, there's no snotlings, no squigs, no grots.
There's just like
he's
one
not a dad. Okay.
There's just like one squid
Right.
mark in a corner.
But that probably is what he's doing immediately, is going back to his room, kind of looking around. When he realizes there are no spores, he kind of pokes around under the bed and the cushions just to see if maybe he left the spare shooter anywhere.
Find
You
a
always
random
hope.
pistol.
It's like like when you find a $5 bill in your jacket when you put it back on for the first time.
Just a gun.
Gabrick finds like a spare 45 in the pocket when he puts it back on.
Oh, that's where that went.
You know what? If you were to say I would like to spend a wrath to have a random gun that I find in my pocket, I would probably allow that for you specifically.
I think I'm gonna spend one of my wrath to find an extra thing. And he's like, oh, well, we're looking for this, and he immediately bolts it onto the snaz gun.
Just find a slugger sitting in like a corner.
So that's what Gabrick's doing. Gabrick's bolting his long lost slugger back onto his snaz gun.
Shokais, you doing anything?
I'm not sure. There isn't much for me to do in the middle of a warp journey, other than, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just constantly performing maintenance updates. So she might actually spend some time with either other members of Faust's retinue that have yet to be met, or maybe just with the crew of the ship to get to know people.
To sort of disperse herself among the menials.
Yeah.
Yeah. My name's Clancy. I count the last guns. Sorry, that's an inside joke for Emperor Text-to-Speech viewers.
Okay.
Sorry. Anyone who keeps up with if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device YouTube channel, the Alpha Busa channel, that's a joke that some of them will get. Anyway.
Mira.
Yeah, Mira, you're headed for Engine Seer Yin.
Yep.
You make your way down to the Engineerium where the tech priests and all the Adeptus Mechanicus retinue tends to be around. And you ask for Yen, and almost immediately a servo skull sort of clicks with a picture of you and then whirs off in a different direction. And a few minutes later, you hear the clanking of a heavy staff on metal as Engine Seer Yen approaches. Yen is not the most mechanical tech priest you've ever seen. She actually has something of a face and hair left. As she rounds the corner, you can see that the long flowing red robes of a tech priest with the sort of long raven hair actually still flowing down from underneath her hood. Sort of pale, almost a sort of pale skin tone with sort of an off olive coloration that would, if you were familiar with the places of Terra, you would almost say marked her from like eastern sections of Terra's globe. But as far as a tech priest goes, you have no idea what that signifies.
Yeah.
She does wear the robes that indicate her as being from Mars, for what it's worth. Maybe with some old Terran stock in her genetics. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
There's a number of like circuitry tattoos across her arms and wrists, which are still surprisingly mostly flesh. In fact, it looks like most of her technological augmentations are extra additions rather than replacements. She has a massive sort of like extra rebreather vox over what looks like her human jaw is still there. And she has a huge backpack sort of jutting out of her shoulder blades with an ungodly number of extra limbs. Like there's probably 4 or 5 individual mechadendrites, which are just these sort of like Doc Ock tentacle arms almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one that's one mechadendrite that's actually just like a massive extra claw arm that's like heavier and thicker and more like a more traditional piston claw. And she's walking with this large staff that has like a chain blade at the bottom of it for like being used as a chain halberd, and then the head of it is the ends with the cog and skull of the Mechanicus at the other end of it as she walks with like 2 of her mechadendrites tuning a las gun as she's walking.
Nice.
Sister Mira, you called for me?
Yes, I was told that you would be the person to speak about having this repaired, and I'm assuming that I'm saying that she went back to her room, changed out of her armor, and then just loaded it up into
Loaded the parts that are damaged.
Yeah, and then sets all that down on the table in front of her. This was hit by a Necron Gauss weapon.
Ah. Interesting damage. I hope that the machine spirits will allow me to glean some information from this before I replace any pieces. I might be able to perhaps devise some potential protection.
That
As
would
I-
be
As I
Most
bounce her accent between very faintly Asian and just full-on tech priest. One day, any individual character's accent will be nailed down. One of them, maybe.
No. In my experience, no. I know I can never do it.
Yep, can confirm. Accents are hard.
But I believe in you, William.
As a game master, particularly, accents are hard because everyone has a different.
Oh yeah, no, I know that a little too well.
You are the chosen one, William. Show us the way.
Yeah, show us.
This is
I
the
can-
way.
I can barely hold Ithram's accent. But
Are you kidding? I'm struggling with showcases.
yes, that would be most helpful if you were able to glean some sort of protection from these things, because it was not enjoyable. By the Emperor's grace, I was able to mend myself, but
I will see what I can glean from this. And I will have the repaired suit for you prepared before we return from the Immaterium.
thank you.
Is there anything else you would like of me? Perhaps you would like some augmentations or additions?
No, I don't quite think I have the time to recover from any augmentations that you may be offering. But
Oh, no, I
appreciate-
was referring to the armor.
What can you do for the armor? What augmentations do you have?
Well, in terms of armor modifications, I could attempt to potentially improve the thickness of the armor. I could potentially allow it to withstand a few more impacts. Or, if so desired, I could potentially apply some energy shielding to the device as a whole. Perhaps not as effective as the iron halo of a space marine, and maybe not the same as a Rosarius from the Sisterhood, but I could probably apply some plasma shielding to allow for defense against more dangerous strikes.
That actually, the plasma shielding was a bit of a problem back on the last planet. Well, not the one before we just left. I forgot the name of it. Was it Ryza that we were on?
Yeah, Ryza.
Yeah. Back on Ryza, did run into a couple plasma weapons, so that would be helpful. What would you require from me?
Go ahead and roll me a influence test.
Influence?
Yeah. Your difficulty is going to be 5.
Ooh. Pop. It's 2.
You want to re-roll any of that?
I have to spend Wrath. Yeah, I'll do that. Wrath. So 2d6. Nope. 2.
Okay. She sort of looks at it for a minute. If I might be able to request a piece of the Xenos technology from your advanced companion, something to study. Not even just for my own sake. The technology that the Tau possess might allow me to make this integration go smoother.
Sorry, one of my dogs was freaking out. 1 second. Okay. I'll see what I can do.
I will do what I can regardless, but if you could provide something, the improvement will likely be superior from what I can learn.
I will let you know if I will return with or without something you may study.
My thanks, and may you go with the Omnissiah's grace.
I'm not familiar enough with 40K to give a proper response. So I'll just say the Emperor's grace.
Yeah, like that's fine. Yeah, that's appropriate.
All right.
The Omnissiah is the Mechanicus's variation on the Imperial religion. Some people think that it's weird, but as far as anyone is concerned, the Omnissiah is the Mechanicum's version of the Emperor.
Yeah.
It's their machine god, and the variation of what they pray to in regards is making their machines work.
Have they not seen Westworld? I'm just kidding. All right. I'll give a curt nod and like half a bow and turn around and head back to my room. Well, yeah, I'll head back to my room first, read for a bit, and then probably the next day I'll attempt to persuade Shokais to let me borrow a battery.
All right. I want to see this. What is Shokais doing when Mira comes to see her?
So when Mira finds Showcase, she's in a mess hall, sitting at a table with 3 of the what's the word for it? 3 of the ship's military personnel who are off duty right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the one talking. So when Mira walks in, the first thing she hears is, So then the boss hears nothing on the comm for a few seconds. Then there's a gunshot, and the other orc says, "Now what?" And the three guards just crack up. But she looks up at the table. "Ah, Mira, something I can do for you?"
Oh, hope I'm not interrupting. Yes, I just had a quick question. If you could step over here.
"Oh, yes, of course. Excuse me, gentlemen." And she gets up from the table, leaving her glass behind. "Right. What do you need?"
I have a favor to ask. I'm Engine Seer Yen is repairing my suit. Should be ready before we leave the Immaterium. But
The what now?
she also the warp.
Oh.
They also offered to do small upgrades, but something to help facilitate it to go smoother. They were wondering if perhaps you had anything that they would be able to study. Nothing significant, or I know you're
Even the
protective
even the
of your
smallest thing.
technology.
Yes, even the smallest thing could be significant.
They said it would either enhance or smooth over possible upgrades that they'd be able to do to my battle suit or my power armor. A bit of plasma shielding.
Well, the only way that I know of that Engine Seer Yen would be able to do that is if she had direct access to any of my weaponry. I am concerned. It might be best if I spoke with Yen myself.
That's fair. You two can work out what, if at all, this is something you're comfortable with. I know I've seen your reaction when Sidra got her hands on things and she didn't understand what they could do. I would understand if your reservations for an Adeptus Mechanicus.
Yes, these are similar but slightly different circumstances. As far as I know, Sidra wasn't about to disassemble something to figure out how it worked. She was mostly curious, as I recall.
Yes.
But
it's hard to tell with her.
Oh, and there was also the fact that I had to clean the battlesuit afterwards.
Yes.
I will speak with Yin before I make my decision, I think.
Fair enough. They'll repair my armor regardless, but...
It's more a case of curiosity than anything.
I think it was to facilitate the upgrade going smoother or being applicable.
Well, potential upgrades for someone who I am fighting beside is always a point in favor of this happening, but I don't want to be the one who, for lack of a better descriptor, and please excuse me if I sound particularly hostile over this, it is in no way my intention. I don't want to be the one who leaked our secrets to the Imperium.
Which is entirely fair. That's why I asked.
Yeah, of course, I understand that.
But...
Well, I will.
I'll-
I
Go ahead.
in the interest of reaching a decision sooner rather than later, I will go and speak with Yen immediately.
Okay. I will accompany.
All right. I believe the phrase is "good company makes the walk go faster."
Definitely does.
You just leave your drink on the table.
I mean, she just gives she gives her drinking buddies a wave and gestures like that. Yeah, all yours if you want it. She doesn't drink much.
So you make her back down to the engine area. Find yourself once again before Engine Seer Yen, who this time has one of your gauntlets that took a sideburn in her hand, sort of fiddling with the material as one of her mechadendrites sort of slowly and very carefully drains liquid ceramite into gaps.
No matter how many times I see it, mechadendrites, just how many, every time I see a tech priest.
Well, it's not all that different from an Earthcast drone. It's just that the pieces are in slightly different configurations and they are attached to somebody instead of operating independently.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm not much of an augmentation person.
Neither are we. And I believe that fulfills my objective.
Yeah.
At any rate. Engine Seer, I understand that you are looking to acquire tower technology for study.
Ah, Shokais. Yes, indeed. There were a number of potential applications of Tau technology that I would be curious to study. In particular, there are a number of potential uses for this particular repair and upgrade for the Battle Sisters armor. Tau technology, as I have gained an understanding of it, possesses a remarkable degree of precision control of plasma flow and dispersion, as well as focusing and projection. Anything even related to this would allow me to potentially miniaturize a refractor field to fit within the confines of the Sisters' armor to make it more viable to carry around.
I see. Are there other applications for this technology that you might use?
Knowledge is extensive, and furthering knowledge is in the interest of the Omnissiah. There are unknown numbers of uses for any knowledge that one might gain. In this particular case, efficiency is to be increased. Miniaturization achieved.
I see. Well, as I have mentioned to Sister Mira, I am loath to share the secrets of the technology of my people without entirely understanding the ramifications of doing so.
If you are concerned about the spread of this technology through the Imperium, I should warn you, I am selected for this ship by virtue of my differences with the Mechanicum at large. There are significant sections of Mechanicum doctrine that forbid learning from or using any form of Xenos technology. I would not be able to spread this information, should I so desire, to the Imperium at large in most situations.
In most situations?
There have been, as she stops and calculates for a minute, 4 situations in my cogitator's memory of times when Xenos technology has been openly adapted by the Imperium in new or altered forms. I do not foresee this being a 5th.
I see. Well, out of character question, how familiar am I with the Enclave's approach to whether or not our war gear is in fact classified information?
So the big thing about the Enclave is that their war gear is limited because they're not part of the Tau Empire, so they have to work with what they've got, and they have a much smaller manufacturing capacity compared to the Tau Empire as a whole.
Yep.
But the Farsight Enclave, as far as keeping their technology secret, I mean, they're more concerned with survival than they are with anything else. So it's sort of 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. Like, letting the enemy understand your technology makes them more likely to be able to find a way to circumvent it or develop a protection against it and make them more dangerous. But at the same time, making yourself more likely to survive by improving your odds of your companion surviving is also valuable. So,
all right. Well, Shokais considers this for a moment. It is possible. I will look into my battlesuit secondary subsystems that operate my burst cannon, and I will see if there is anything there that I might be able to share.
any knowledge is appreciated.
I will get back to you when I learn more of what I think might be useful to you. But I will. But I would like to stress, Ingencia. Again, she stumbles over the Imperial terminology. That this is primarily in the interest of aiding my companions and not to, for lack of a better descriptor, betray or hinder.
This is understood.
Then do I have your word that this information will not be distributed?
I will exercise the highest levels of security as far as maintaining this information's integrity.
I see. Very well. I will return with a data slate containing the appropriate information.
Do you do that?
Yes, I return to my quarters, hop in the suit, find appropriate components of the schematics I'm looking for, and then copy them down and return.
So she takes them eagerly and begins to pore over them as she's simultaneously working on the armor. And by the time that you return from the warp, you will have a new refractor field in your armor.
Ooh. Beautiful.
Which is a power field which is very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll provide you with the power field trait, which will allow you to roll your determination against mortal wounds, which is useful.
Yeah.
And it will also provide you an additional 3 armor on top of your power armor's normal armor rate.
Well, shit.
On top of? I didn't know that was in addition.
Yeah, shields go on top.
Oh. What was this trait? Adds its AR to your defense and resilience. Neat.
Thank you, Showcase.
Well,
This is because it has the shield trait specifically because Showcase gave her the information she needed to improve it.
Oh, dope.
If Showcase hadn't given that information, it wouldn't have been able to add to your armor.
Okay, cool. If there's anything you need of me, don't hesitate.
well, I can't think of anything right now, but I'll be sure to keep that in mind for future reference.
Just a question, not a suggestion for how, but do you have any close quarters combat training, self-defense?
The traditional means of a battlesuit, well, the standard response of a battlesuit engaged in melee is to disengage and open fire from extreme distances.
So no.
So yes, that is a no.
Okay.
But
Well,
provided that I can bring the battlesuit to bear, which I hope to do on Vordrast, then I should be fine for this. Without such capabilities. Though I suspect in circumstances where the battlesuit is inadvisable, then I would trust in everyone else to handle the close quarters engagements.
that's fair.
But I do thank you for your concern.
It's just, hang on a second. It's, never mind. I had a weird thought tangent, but it just went away, so.
Yeah, fair enough. That happens.
Yep.
The armor that you get from the refractor field, by the way, is invulnerable, which means that it cannot be penetrated. So you will always have at least 3 armor to apply, no matter how high their armor penetration.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Mira would hug Showcase, but I don't know. She doesn't know how uncomfortable that would make her. Once she figures that out, like huge armor piercing thing. Oh, I'm still alive.
Thump.
Oh. Showcase, get over here. No. Yeah. After that, she'll offer at least one sparring fist fight to Gabruk if he's feeling bored. If she sees him napping, she'll be like, "Hey, buddy, you want to fight?"
Right, all right. No questions.
Just instant.
just up and punching.
All right.
You know what? Just roll me. Both of you roll me opposed melee weapon skill tests.
That's just an unarmed strike. So, but that's 8 successes.
Nice.
Yeah. Should I just make a weapon skill check?
Yeah,
No,
weapon
not
skill test. Yeah.
weapon skill. Okay. Bwah, bwah.
That is 3 and a complication for those playing at home.
I think
So-
Mira knocks Gobrick the fuck out.
So yeah, right before she does it though, she goes, "See, the problem is, Gobrick, you're not squaring up, and your feet are too close together." As she kicks your feet out from underneath you, and then punches you right in the forehead, and then and says, "That is the lesson that I learned, and I'm passing it on to you." Does that fulfill my?
Yes.
Great.
See, I thought that complication was going to go, Goldberg, fight me. Okay, baff. That was quick.
As it turns out, Gobrick is more of a shooty orc than a fighty up front orc.
Yeah. Very much so.
Which, I mean, still an orc, so still a massive and dangerous threat in melee
Yeah.
combat. But you are a trained melee-oriented sister of battle, which means you
Yeah.
can hold your
Yeah.
own.
And I'm sure it still took me a while because Gobrick's 8 feet tall,
Yeah.
and
8 feet tall, made of muscle and hit points.
yeah, Mira is 6 foot tall and made of muscle.
It's like the scene from The Princess Bride. If Gobrick had been unconscious so quickly, he's like, "We use different words. 5,000 people."
It is very much fucking Dread Pirate Roberts strangling Andre the Giant into unconsciousness.
Yeah. Rest well, dream of green women.
Yeah.
So, after an amount of time passes, and any other endeavors that need to be achieved over the course of the next few days are done, eventually, the Umbra Draconis comes out of the Immaterium in the Vordrast system, which, as it comes out of the Immaterium, finds itself on the edge of the system. And it gets a nice big view of how this entire system is currently a massive battleground for the Imperial forces fighting off probably a good dozen orc ships.
Hmm.
Well then.
And that is where we will end for the week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.